Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We are unlocking what I like to call the ultimate cartographer's toolkit. Today, we're really diving deep into how we understand the world map and the map of India. If you're trying to process complex world map and India map and UPSC student information, mastering this stuff is absolutely crucial. But honestly, even if you're just a curious learner, I promise you're going to look at the world completely differently by the time we wrap up. So I want to start by asking you a really simple but kind of profound question. Can you truly trust the maps you look at every day? We all tend to view maps as this absolute objective truth, right? Like, it's just math. But as we're going to discover, every single map is actually a massive combination of historical choices, geopolitical realities, and, well, a whole lot of mathematical compromises. We really need to learn how to read between the lines here.
To get us there, we've got a structured, 5-part agenda today. We are covering 1. The history of Indian cartography, 2. India's international borders, 3. Mapping India's rivers, 4. Distortions in world maps, and 5. The modern student atlas.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, History of Indian Cartography.
It is literally mind-blowing to think that cartography in India starts way, way back in the Bronze Age. We're talking around 2500 to 1900 BCE. The Indus Valley civilization was actually out there using excavated surveying instruments and measuring rods to build these perfectly planned towns with baked bricks. It's wild. Then, fast forward to 90 to 168 CE, we have Ptolemy, the Hellenistic geographer, creating this massive 8-volume record of world geography. Jump to the 11th century, and the brilliant Persian geographer Al-Biruni actually visited India and mapped out the cities of the western subcontinent. And finally, getting into the colonial era, the British East India Company officially established the Survey of India in 1767. And amazingly, that organization still exists today as the official mapping authority of the Republic of India.
Moving right along, Section 2, India's international borders.
Okay, so breaking down the one border, one force policy actually reveals a ton of history. First up, we have the LOC, or Line of Control. That's the military-controlled boundary between India and Pakistan, and it's guarded by the Indian Army. Then there's the LAC, the line of actual control separating India and China. That one is guarded by both the Army and the Indo-Tibetan Border Police, or ITBP. We also have to look at the historical lines. There's the Radcliffe Line, established back in August 1947 to divide India and Pakistan, which is guarded by the Border Security Force. Then you've got the Durand Line, an older boundary from way back in 1896 touching the Jammu and Kashmir region in Afghanistan. And finally, the McMahon Line, determined in 1914 at the Shimla Convention to separate India and China, guarded by the ITBP. Pinning down these specific dates and the designated forces gives us a much clearer picture of modern geopolitics.
Next up, Section 3, Mapping India's rivers.
Let's shift gears to physical geography, starting with the literal lifeblood of the subcontinent, the mighty Indus River system. This is the westernmost river system in the region. It originates up in Tibet, flows northwestward right through the incredibly rugged terrains of India, specifically cutting this long, straight course in Ladakh, and then eventually takes a turn southwest to enter Pakistan, draining out into the Arabian Sea.
What's truly fascinating here is the sheer anatomy of this river. It specifically originates from the Bakarchu Glacier on the northern slopes of Mount Kailash. And get this, that's at an immense elevation of 6,714 meters. From there, it picks up these really complex tributaries. On the left bank, it's joined by the Zaskar, Suru, and Dras rivers. On the right bank, the Shok, Nubra, and Gilgit rivers feed into it. And of course, you have the main tributaries that completely define the Punjab region, the Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas, and Satluj.
Now, contrasting those complex western tributaries of the Indus with the Brahmaputra sub-basin over in the east reveals something pretty amazing. The Brahmaputra also originates from those exact same Kailash ranges as the Indus, but it flows in the exact opposite direction. It travels east through Tibet, where it's known as the Yarlung Tsangpo, before hooking southward into India right through Arunachal Pradesh. These two massive river systems basically act like giant geographical bookends, entirely shaping the immense topography of northern India.
Zooming out globally now, Section 4, Distortions in world maps. Have you ever actually wondered how cartographers take a 3D spherical globe and squash it flat onto a 2D piece of paper? Well, they use what's called a projection. The most popular one in the world, the one you almost certainly grew up looking at in classrooms, is the Mercator Projection. But here's the massive catch. Every single projection introduces some kind of distortion. The Mercator Projection, specifically, exaggerates the size of land masses closer to the poles, think North America and Europe, while really shrinking the appearance of land masses down near the equator. Let me give you the craziest example of this. When you look at a standard Mercator map, Greenland appears to be roughly the exact same size as the entire continent of Africa. Looks totally normal, right? But in reality, Greenland is 0.8 million square miles. Africa is a staggering 11.6 million square miles. It is nearly 14.5 times larger. It absolutely blows your mind and really highlights the danger of taking flat maps at face value without understanding the mathematical biases that are literally built into them. All right, 3,119,884. That is the total square mileage of the contiguous United States. To put our previous math discussions into perspective, India is about 1.26 million square miles, so geographically speaking, the US is roughly 2.5 times larger. However, while the US has a population of around 320 million, India holds a staggering 1.5 billion people. Comparing true geographic size against demographic reality is exactly what makes modern cartography so vital for us to understand.
Finally, bringing it all together, Section 5, the Modern Student Atlas.
You know, a standard desktop reference map today is packed with just an unbelievable density of information. A modern map isn't just about drawing lines and borders anymore, it's practically a deeply layered database. But obviously, carrying around a massive, heavy paper atlas isn't practical for anyone, which is exactly why interactive digital atlases have become the new gold standard for learners today. This is where tools like the World Map Atlas 2026 app become a total game changer. They act as a complete pocket toolkit. They streamline all that crucial data, capitals, flags, GDP, life expectancy for over 250 countries. And remember our whole focus on physical geography earlier? With an app like this, you can instantly pull up the top 20 rivers or mountains and even use offline quizzes to actively test your knowledge no matter where you are. It's incredibly powerful, especially for organizing World Map and India Map and UPSC student information directly on your device.
Well, we have covered an immense amount of ground today, so I'll leave you with this. How will your newfound understanding of map distortions and boundaries change the way you view global news and history going forward? The next time you glance at a map, I hope you remember that it's a dynamic tool, a piece of history, and sometimes just a bit of an illusion. Keep questioning, keep learning, and thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.